Today, you're going to learn something amazing about chronic disease. So, what if you get sick for a reason? What if there is a gift in chronic disease? What if you can figure out why are you sick and how can you heal? I think and I believe that this is possible. I want you to know that there are many different approaches to healing, and actually Western medicine is the kind of newest invention. There are other approaches that think differently about chronic disease. Oftentimes, the root of the problem is not physical. If you look at things this way, then the right question to ask, what is causing this disease? What are the root of the problem? So there's two perspectives on chronic disease. Well, there's many perspectives, but two major kind of game changers on the field. And one of them is a perspective when if you believe that, there is no higher reason for your existence, that everything happens by chance, just random, that there is some kind of good or bad luck. And you believe that you have no power over your life because it's just, an organizing principle of chaos, And if you believe that, there is nothing wrong with that. Now, in this context, if you get sick, then simply you have bad luck or bad genes, and there is not much you can do about it. And a good example of this would be Western medicine, right? And if you look at Western medicine, they're not very effective with chronic disease. In the vast majority of the cases, they don't know why you get sick. They can't tell you what leads to developing certain kind of chronic disease. And in most cases, they cannot heal it. They just label it incurable. And in the best case scenario, they can mitigate the symptoms, with some medications or treatments, right? You might think if you grew up in the West that this is the only framework of healing that exists, but I can assure you that it is not like that. Actually, the bigger part of the world follows, different framework of medicine than Western medicine. And the main difference in these frameworks is that Western medicine looks at a human being as a machine, as just a physical body, and looks at the symptoms and trying to resolve, those symptoms that you are having, and not asking deeper questions of why you get these symptoms and where are they coming from. The reason, like the result of it is that, oftentimes chronic disease is something that you have to live with and not that you have even any kind of hope to recover from. Okay. Now, I want you to know that there are many different approaches to healing, and actually Western medicine is the kind of newest invention around 300 or 400 years, but there is a bigger part of the world like India, Asia, Africa, where, other types of healing are practiced for way longer time than we have Western medicine and pharmaceutical medications, okay? One of the big examples would be traditional Chinese medicine that is like more than 2,000 years old, or Ayurveda in India, which goes back to more than 6,000 years. But we can look at shamanic healing, shamanic and plant medicine that is 100,000 years old, and it was practiced quite widely all over the world by indigenous people. So Western medicine is not the only framework. It's not the only approach. It's not the only solution. And there are other approaches that think differently about chronic disease, okay? So one of the main differences with the other approach is that they recognize that you are more than a physical body, okay? You are not just a physical, like bones and meat and blood and these kind of things, but you are an emotional being, you are an intellectual being, a mental being, you are an energetic being beyond your physicality, and most of all, you are a spiritual being having a human experience, okay, and not just a physical body. When you look at it this way, oftentimes the root of the problem is not physical, it's actually non-physical, so it can be mental, emotional, energetic, it can be spiritual. So if you look at it like this way, if you look at chronic disease, like for example, cancer, then the symptom might be a tumor in your body, but the reason for that tumor might be, that you are a person who is extremely self-sacrificing, and you depleted yourself energetically to that level when your physical body cannot maintain optimum health anymore. And your higher self, your soul wants to let you know through this disease that you need to change something in your life, and you need to correct your path in some way that serves you better. There is more healthy, there is more aligned, with your highest good. And if you look at things this way, then the right question to ask of, what is causing this disease? What is causing this imbalance? What are the root of the problem? Okay. And these roots are normally non-physical. And that's why Western medicine doesn't find, the rules, because they are not even inquiring what are the rules. But even if they would, they don't acknowledge, the essence of your being is non-physical, and they don't investigate on those levels. Like on the other side, if we are talking about shamanic medicine, acupuncture, which is part of traditional Chinese medicine, or different types of treatment in Ayurveda, they very much acknowledge, that you are more than your physical body. And then, the symptoms are not the disease itself, but, you have to go to the root cause and help people to heal on that level. And then their physical body will automatically rejuvenate and recover. This was something that will naturally happen. Well, this might sound like completely crazy for you, but I can assure you that this is true. When you're suffering from chronic disease, what people naturally ask themselves, why is this happening to me, right? And that's the right question to ask. But the answer is not always what is obvious on the physical level. But this can set you on a journey of deeper investigation, healing, and self-discovery that will help you to get those answers from inside of you, that will help you to resolve whatever challenges you are facing. In this framework of thinking, the main belief is that there is a higher organizing principle, whatever you want to call this, like God or the Great Spirit or Unit One, Unity Consciousness, it doesn't matter, but there is some kind of higher organizing principle that is benevolent, that is working for our highest good, and therefore everything happens for a reason, and therefore everything has meaning and significance, and therefore everything happens for your highest good. And then the question to ask is, how can you figure out, how things serve you, and what are the gifts, in the challenges. And you all know these stories, right? The hero's journey is a very common story in every culture, that you set out on a journey and there are many challenges and there is a supreme ordeal, and then you have to slay the dragon and get your reward and your gifts, and go back and share that, right, with your family, with your people, with your country. So this is very much like that, that you have to go into this inner journey of investigation, of asking this right question. What can I learn from this experience, and what do I need to shift and change in my life, in my behavior, so I can be in greater alignment, so I can have optimal health, so I can, express myself to my fullest potential, right? And if you keep asking for these questions and going into this direction, I will assure you that you will have the answers and therefore the results that you are wanting. And I've seen this like in many times, with my clients that after like 20 plus years of therapy work. But I want to tell you just one example, and this is from my personal life, actually, because a big part of my life I dealt with like a chronic pain that was connected with my moon cycle, my menstrual cycle. And it was a debilitating pain that I dealt with for many, many years. And that set me actually on this path of inquiry to figure out why I'm in so much pain. Because, in the framework of Western medicine and investigation, they just couldn't find any answers to that and any solutions apart from giving me extremely hardcore painkillers, right? So I set out on this journey, and it took me many years. So this is not something that happens from one day to another, but I managed to dig down to the root of the problem and to identify, non-physical causes. Actually, it was related trauma. And oftentimes, chronic pain, the root causes are in some kind of trauma. So that is not very surprising. But once I was able to access those memories, those traumatic memories, and really what happened, and find, some kind of healing, resolution, forgiveness, and move on from that, the physical pain from my body like simply just vanished, like completely 100% without any medication, without any physical intervention. It's just for me, that was kind of the ultimate proof of this kind of way of thinking that really much I resonated with, so much so that I went on this journey myself to see, if this is true, then it has to work for me, and it did. And since then I've seen so many people, and I assisted and supported so many people to find their answers and their power, to restore their physical health and to restore their life. And this is absolutely possible. So if you are suffering from chronic disease, if you are tired of, going through all the standard of care and the treatment, if you are not getting better, if your condition is getting progressively worse, if you have nothing to lose, then ask yourself a question that maybe there is another way, maybe there is another approach that might be more beneficial for you, that might bring the solutions that you are really looking for, and just open your mind to the possibility that this is possible, and all the information and all the help is available to you if you choose to open yourself to something outside of the conventional or outside of what you were taught it's the normal. What I want to close with is that it's your choice of what you believe in, but I think a good question to ask from yourself is that, how is this belief serving me? So me believing that I'm physical body, me believing in Western medicine, how is that serving me? Is it making my life better or not? And if it's not serving me, maybe it's okay to try different things, because you cannot repeat the same thing and wait for a different result, right? And really, there is nothing to lose. These approaches and these types of healings that I'm talking about, they are non-invasive. They don't have any kind of side effects. They are not dangerous in any shape and form. I just want to tell you that there are other pathways, and be open to look at different approaches, because we are so enclosed and so kind of trapped in our little mindset that was determined by the environment that we grew up in, that oftentimes, we are not seeing solutions in front of us that are not fitting in our, framework that I write there in front of us, available to us. Okay. So I hope that this helped. Let me know what you think in the comments, and ask if you have any questions, and connect with me at avatarhealingarts.com. And if you like this episode, please subscribe and follow my podcast.